This is WWE superstar Drew McIntyre, and you're listening to the WWE Podcast.
The champ is
the one that everybody wants, me.
Becky Lynch is going to WrestleMania. Claymore!
Austin 316 says I just whipped your ass. This is my iron. You're going to acknowledge me.
Okay, everybody, time to hear what you have to think about all of the crazy things that happened this week in WWE. This was one of the biggest weeks in WWE in recent years, really, and interested to hear what all of you have to say. I do not pre-screen the messages. Like, I don't look at them and you know, decide which ones are going to get on the show and which ones aren't, or read through them so I have an idea of what my answers are going to be. I don't have a clue. I don't pre-read them. So you are hearing them the same time I am. So let's get to the patrons. By the way, guys, patrons do get priority. Another perk of going to Patreon beyond ad-free everything is priority placement in the Mailbag show every single week. All right, so let's get to it. Let's start with, let's see. All right, well, I don't know if this was meant to be on the Mailbag, but it's going to be anyway. So, Deanna. And Deanna says, do you know why the hell Cody had to get the pin? I can't stand him. Should have been Randy to get the pin. Well, I mean, of course. I'm 100% with you, Deanna. And I've been into a couple of diatribes over the last few days regarding this issue, is the fact that Randy Orton should have got the pin. He's the one who's been out 18 months. It would have been a nice feel-good victory over J.D. McDonough and beating the Judgment Day. And then Cody did it, and you know the reason why? I know, again, this is breaking news for those that haven't heard. Cody's dad is Dusty Rhodes. So that means that since his daddy created the match, that Cody needs to get the victory, because we're all supposed to feel sympathy for him and all feel for him and have that emotional connection with him. That's why. So make sure you feel that emotional connection. Make sure you assimilate all good feelings with Cody Rhodes. That's the goal. Okay. All right. Shahar, good to hear from you. And she says, Shahar from Israeli Patreon. Cool. She says, hey, Matt, hope everything is fine. I want to discuss some things about Survivor Series, so let's roll. Number one. As a huge fan of Becky, it was so heart-melting to see her make peace with Charlotte. Although I imagine this faction has no future since Becky's on Raw and Charlotte's on SmackDown, it doesn't seem like either of them are going to change brands. I must say I was surprised that Team Becky won, same as last year, and Becky again was the one to make the cover, same as last year. Last year it was Dakota who took the pinfall. I didn't even think about that as far as who takes the pinfalls and who gets the victories and who is laying on their back. Thank you for bringing that up. I never would have really even thought about that. But, you know, I really do think that this faction, or this alliance with Becky and Charlotte, is really only because they're both baby faces. And WWE is trying to outwardly project that these two have no more issues. Now, whether they actually do or not backstage, and this is all a front, I don't know. I don't know if this is just something that organically happened during the match, or if it was predetermined that this was what's going to happen, that they're going to have a hug and see how the fans react to it. Because here's the thing. That's not a bad idea to do, because I don't need to see Becky and Charlotte fight again. I mean, as good as they are together, and they are good together, they've had match of the year candidates. They've had so many matches that have been clinics, and they have great chemistry. But the thing is, we don't need to see Becky and Charlotte again for some time. It's not that it won't happen again. Just it feels like it's still been, too short of a period of time. So that alliance, again, not only because they're on separate brands, but also because it wouldn't go anywhere. Becky and Charlotte don't belong on a team together. They're on separate brands, and they're on separate paths, even if they were on the same brand. Number two, I just don't understand why WWE had to bring back both Randy and Punk on Survivor Series. Punk's return totally overshadowed Randy. I get they wanted to bring CM Punk in Chicago, so why bring Randy to the same event? Wouldn't it make more sense to bring CM Punk as the fifth member of Team Rollins and bring Randy at the Rumble? Also, although we didn't get to see an RKO to Jay, surprisingly, But we sure as hell got to see an RKO to damn Dom. That was so satisfying till next time. I mean, anytime Dom gets his ass kicked, it's just so much fun. And that's what makes a great heel, is when you crave that moment to see the heel, especially a heel like Dominic, who's organically unlikable, and you don't have to convince the audience to dislike him, they just do. That you want that moment to see him get a finish put on him and get his ass kicked in a match. And it's so sad, especially with how beloved the RKO is. It makes it double the fun. But as far as the CM Punk and Randy returns on the same night, I brought that up too. I'm like, how often do they do that where these are two massive returns? And it's very rare, even for a WrestleMania, although WrestleMania is kind of an outlier where it's just, sometimes it's big return after big return. But outside of Mania, maybe, there's very rarely any event throughout the year that you would have two returns of this magnitude anyway on the same show, because as you're right, they kind of dilute each other. And especially for the one that goes first, that person is kind of put on the back burner very quickly when they're overshadowed and upstaged by the next person who gets the debut or the return. So it's very questionable to me. I would have actually gone with Randy Orton returning the Monday Night Raw after WrestleMania, or Monday Night Raw after Survivor Series, just to give Punk that moment and give Randy his own moment. But they wanted to make sure that Cody Rhodes brought in his friend to help his team. And Punk is more of a, we don't know who he's going to face yet type of return. So, I'm with you, though. So thank you, Shahar. And let's hope everything's going well over there in Israel. From what I see, it's, depending on where you are, of course, would depend on your circumstances. But I hope you're staying safe. All right, continuing with the patrons. Let's go for Alex, the French guy. And he says, hey, Matt, just to point out that I'm 100% behind Drew McIntyre. I would act the same way. The character is coherent. He doesn't play a heel on the flip of a coin. As a matter of fact, he even still slaps his hand past Raw. Oh, I know what you're saying. He slaps fans' hands. Yeah, I noticed that too. You continue and say, I mean, he even says to Seth that he respects the fact that Seth chose someone for the open challenge. Seth choosing Jay is a slap in the face of Drew. Jay did not deserve any title shot. He only deserves consequences for his actions in the bloodline. The only thing I would do different if I was Drew is not headbutt Seth, but Claymore the heel out of him. I can't stand the chance of his theme song, great storytelling, and character development. Alex. Well, Alex, good to hear from you. And that's the cool thing about Drew's character right now is his claim is that he has not changed. And he really hasn't. He's been more in kind of a bad, sour mood. But his character has remained steady, and all of his attacks and not helping baby faces when they are in peril are all warranted. He hasn't done anything. He hasn't turned his back on anyone. He's just not. He's looking out for himself a little more and doing things that really, honestly, most of us in our lives would do. Are you going to help somebody that helped, screw you out of a massive opportunity? Are you obligated to help them because they're a fan favorite and you're a fan favorite? No. Drew is totally warranted in doing the things he's doing. And, getting mad at Seth, yeah, I mean, at the same time, Seth did already beat McIntyre where Jay didn't get an opportunity at the title yet, so there's a little bit of a difference there. But overall, Drew is saying, I'm not changing. If you think I've changed, you're the one that's changed, and blaming it on the fans. It's kind of a nice creative wrinkle that you don't always see. Typically, heel turns are low blow on your best friend, or turning on a teammate, or doing something underhanded. This is just Drew kind of doing things logically, but not doing things the way fans feel like you should, and helping other baby faces because you're a baby face. Yeah. So fans are kind of the ones to blame. So I'm a bit behind Drew as well on this. All right. Thanks, Alex. Let's get to Zach, another patron. He says, I have 5 match predictions for WrestleMania. Rollins versus Punk. Doesn't need the title, so Priest should cash in at the Rumble. Jey Uso wins the Rumble. Huge pop and a dark horse winner. Orton somehow finds a way into the story by turning on Jey. Priest versus Orton versus Jey at Mania. Rhodes wins at the Elimination Chamber. That way he doesn't win back-to-back Rumbles. Reigns versus Rhodes 2. Gunther versus Brock. Story writes itself. And Logan Paul versus Owens versus LA Knight for the U.S. title. Epic promo battles. Thoughts? Okay. Rollins Punk seems to be a shoo-in for WrestleMania. Unless Punk does something else or someone else. Rollins Punk seems to be the place they're going. So I would agree. Jey Uso winning the Rumble is not impossible, but unlikely. Given that he's not in the top tier, he's like that step below. He's not quite at the level of a Cody Rhodes right now in terms of fan support. He's not quite to the level of a Seth Rollins. He's so close, but he's not quite there. He's a candidate to win. I would agree. He's a candidate. You could make an argument for it. I just don't think that he is a favorite to win the Rumble, but let's play this out. So you're saying that it's going to be Orton turning on Jay, and then it's Priest, Orton, and Jay at WrestleMania in a 3-way. And that's possible, but if that would... Okay, so you're assuming Priest cashes in at the Rumble. He's world champion. So Punk and Rollins is not for the title. I'm cool with that. I don't need Punk champion. Just like I don't need The Rock champion if he faces Roman Reigns. So Priest, Orton, and Jay, that's an intriguing, fun triple threat. I'd agree. Rhodes winning at an Elimination Chamber so he doesn't win the Rumble. Cool, fine. He'll find a way to Roman Reigns. And Cody Rhodes losing at the Rumble is fine. I actually, as you guys know, I'm not a fan of the Cody Rhodes babyface character at all. It's one of the most just stomach-churning babyface characters I've seen in my lifetime, and fans continue to cheer for it, but so maybe I'm the one that's wrong. But whatever. I think after Rumble, maybe Cody will be distraught and say that, there's only one more road that I can take in order to finish my story, and that's at the Elimination Chamber. And then he'll win at the Chamber. And that'll be for the number one contendership to face Roman Reigns. And then off you go. But if it's not, then I don't know. But I would agree. Like that's fine with me. And then Gunther and Brock seems to already be in place, and Logan Paul and Owens and LA Knight for the U.S. title is also cool. Except, do you really want LA Knight in a secondary title match? There's an argument to be made. I think LA Knight's a favorite to win the Rumble. And then have LA Knight if you want to throw him in a triple threat match for the world title at WrestleMania, you could do that. Although I'm not always a fan of triple threat matches, especially at WrestleMania for a title, a top title, you could do it. This is not impossible. Your card is logical. That's what makes and I feel like I say this every year, but this year more than ever, is the most unpredictable WrestleMania season I've ever seen. And it just feels, because of how many returns there are, how many returns maybe we have yet to see. Where the hell's Big E? Right? Big E is still floating out there. Maybe The Rock, although I'm discounting that heavily right now. I'll believe it when I see it. So if The Rock comes in, everything gets blown up. I mean, all the plans, right? Everything gets blown up. But maybe The Rock. Austin is a very, very small outlier, but possible given he actually had a match with Kevin Owens 2 years ago. So we can't say that's impossible anymore. Brock Lesnar is yet to return, and he's likely going to face Gunther. So there's a lot out there. A lot of matchups. AJ Styles isn't even back yet. So there's some real fun matchups that we have yet to see. Alrighty. So thank you so much, Zach. Let's talk to Frank, another patron of the show. And Frank says, let me talk to you. I have an interesting question. So who would you say has the biggest pop? Cody Rhodes from WrestleMania 38, Randy Orton from Survivor Series, or CM Punk from Survivor Series? I have to think about these pops, which you're relying on my memory and how I felt. So let me think about this. The Cody Rhodes pop at WrestleMania 38 was pretty damn big. Randy Orton's Survivor Series pop was pretty big. I would actually say Cody Rhodes at WrestleMania 38, then followed by Punk, then followed by Orton. That's my take. I feel like the match with Shinsuke and Cody will be a really good match. Kind of throws the ball at a different perspective, something he's not used to, and I feel a feel Ali will be making a return here. So that's all for now. Thanks for everything. Yeah. Well, thanks, Frank. So look, Shinsuke and Cody is a good matchup. It's going to be as fast as Cody and Seth was, maybe even shorter, given that Cody has to just immediately, after the Shinsuke Nakamura program, which Cody will come out on top of, and it'll probably last the next 5 to 6 weeks, Cody Rhodes is going to be slung quickly into the Rumble season. This is probably only going to last through Christmas. And then once January comes around, maybe they'll have a blow off at the early January at some like in a cage match or something on Raw to start the new year. And then he's gone. And then he's focused solely on the Rumble, and Cody Rhodes is a heavy favorite to win the Rumble again. So thanks, Frank. All right, let's continue. Who do I want to go to next? Let's go to Mark, patron of the show. He says, says, "Hey, Matt, sorry for my second mail of the day." Oh, I don't see your first one. I guess we'll go in reverse order. But I'm so excited I just can't hide it. Are you trying to be, who's the artist for that song? Just got tickets for SmackDown and Bash in Berlin next year, and I'll go with my son again. That's awesome. But wow, those tickets were very expensive. Had to sell my house to get them. But for what it's worth, the memories of seeing my son so happy, tickets were 120 to 8,500 euro. Yeah, that's oof. How much do they want for a PLE in the US? It's crazy. Again, it depends on seats. It depends on the venue, like the city they're in. You know, I'd say anywhere from, some seats are $50 if you want to get the real $50 US dollars. And then you could go all the way up to like a couple $1,000s for front row. So yeah, it's pretty nuts. I've seen WrestleMania seats, front row WrestleMania seats, go for $10,000 and higher. That to me is just absurd. But people pay it. People pay it. All right, Mark, we'll get to your other email soon, wherever it lives in my box here. All right, look at Darren, another patron. He says, "Hey, WWE Podcast family, how long do you think before Austin Theory takes a GTS from Punk? Seems like all the big name guys go after him when they come back. That's all for now. I know you'll be getting a lot of emails this week. Thanks, Darren." Well, I don't know. Punk is going to be shot into a program with somebody. I don't know who it's going to be. It might, the idea that Punk and maybe Grayson Waller could get in his face and both of them eat a GTS is possible. Again, Punk is a free agent, I think. So he can go to SmackDown. I don't know if he's going to. He may. But I think Austin Theory could be kind of the scapegoat for Punk, where he's just the heel that gets his ass kicked by Punk to get things going, get the juices flowing. But it's not going to be a true program with Theory and Punk. So that's kind of how I feel about it. Thanks, Darren. All right. We're digging for emails from patrons here. This is from Badfish. He says, "Quick War Games review." And I thought overall it was a crap sandwich. Okay. Well, okay. Good match to start, great match to end. Middle was super blah. So I got to ask you, Badfish, the definition of a crap sandwich is the definition of a crap sandwich good on both sides but terrible in the middle? Or is a crap sandwich just like all is bad? I'm not sure. So I guess you should have just eaten the bread and not whatever you put in the middle of it. That being said, the good parts were amazing. I love the women's War Games match, and the men's was great too. I won't go into the corny pin from Cody because you already covered that well enough. But wow, man, I feel for Randy. They could have had someone like AJ Styles announce for the match, not show up, and Orton come out. Imagine that pop. So that's the thing, but they wanted Punk to be the surprise return. They wanted to save that special, unforeseen pop, even though Punk was being chanted all night and many people expected him to return. He was the unannounced return. So they saved that for Punk. Rhea even mentioned how she was overshadowed, or how he was overshadowed in a promo on Raw. It's true. Maybe this will be an angle and can be used to turn him heel in the future. When you say he, I'm saying, when you say he, I'm thinking Orton. Well, Orton belongs a heel. I'm sorry. I don't think Orton's going to stay a babyface very long. I got to be frank with you guys. They'll get their money's worth out of him. I think maybe he'll even go to WrestleMania as a babyface, but Randy Orton is just he plays a heel so much better. It's not to say Randy Orton can't be a babyface. He can. Even when he's a classic heel, some of the best heel work he ever did was with Edge. If you've forgotten that, how good that was. That was unfortunately effed up by the pandemic, and their match was in the pandemic era. I mean, it was just horrendous. Not the match, but the circumstances. But Randy Orton's best heel work was done with Edge, I think. And some of his best work of his career was with Edge. So we've seen how good he can be as a heel, and I think it won't last long. I mean, give it 4 months, and Randy Orton's back to being a heel. Let's see. Maybe this... Okay. Anyway, have a good weekend, everyone. Keep up the great episodes, or great podcasts. Everyone, hopefully in the next couple of weeks, I'll have a theme song for you guys to hear. Oh, maybe. We'll see. All right. Bad Fish. Thank you. All righty. Mark, let's get to your other email. And I appreciate you guys, by the way, for keeping these emails short. It really, I think, keeps things rolling here. So I appreciate that. All right, Mark. So you say, I guess you'll receive a lot of emails regarding Punk's return, but I want to share my opinion. When the rumor started that he could come back, I was completely against it because of his recent behavior. But when his music hit, I had instant goosebumps, or as we say in Germany, oh, this is going to be terrible. I can't even pronounce this, dude. I have trouble with English words that I've been using for 38 years. You think I'm going to be able to say this? Here we go, though. This is going to be horrendous. Huhnerpelle? Huhnerpelle. Good God, I'm horrendous. All right. Don't ask me to be one of those like audiobook narrators. My God, it'd be entertaining, but also frustrating. Honestly, this is what it's all about. Those moments, man, I love it. Wrestling is really booming again, and I'm able to enjoy all of this as a father and watch stuff like this with my son. I love every bit of it. And that's a cool thing, especially for those of us who have young kids that can start to bring them into this PG product, which is a smart move by WWE. And I've told you guys, as much as we want TV 14, it's not really a great business strategy to only appeal to a part of your audience. When you've brought in a lot of kids and everything through this PG era, and parents are more open to a PG product, even if there are some questionable things, TV 14, I mean, you're alienating a lot of your audience that you've built. And it's smart to do PG. You're catching a wider audience. You're also being able to bring in more sponsors, more money. But the other point about Punk, and I've complained about it too, and I think I stand 100% behind what I said. I don't backtrack on it. He acted like an unprofessional, grumpy old man in a lot of his post-press conferences with Tony Khan. I mean, he did. He came off extremely unprofessional, and if I looked at him, I would say that's somebody I would never hire. And I stand by it. I don't change that, but that also doesn't mean it can't be true that when he comes to WWE, people won't explode. And that's what WWE's counting on, is just the fans want it, they react, that's all we care about. So it kind of erases a lot of those negative feelings maybe that fans had about Punk. So, I mean, two things can be true here, I guess. Okay, quickly here. Randy's comeback is also really awesome. The RKO to JD was sensational. And let's not forget about the other great dude. R-Truth is back, baby. Thanks for reading my mail and have a great day. Yeah, I mean, that's the real news story of the day, as Triple H put in his post-press conference of Survivor Series. R-Truth is back. Yeah, making sure those ruffles get sold. R-Truth, R-Truth is a national treasure, man. And you know what I'd encourage everyone to do? And I'm being serious when I say this. Go watch the WWE's 24/7. Was it the 24 special? Whatever. It's 24 something. They focus just on a specific star and give you their backstory and interviews and stuff. R-Truth has one, and I watched it last year, and I really enjoyed it, because outside of how great R-Truth is at comedy, which is a rare trait in wrestling, he seems like a genuinely great dude. Reliable, had a checkered past, but had a rough home life, and you should Just go watch it. You'll learn more about truth in 60 minutes than you have in, 6 years. Really encourage everyone to go check it out. So thanks, Mark. All right. Let's talk to Efren. The 3 horse guys, Efren, Noah, and Marshall. Let's do it. And Efren says, hello, good sir. I know that you're probably getting bombarded with emails about CM Punk's return and the reaction that Rollins had when the cameras went off. I'm going to go in a different direction. When Bayley was walking to the ring to be the starter for Damage Control, Corey Graves dropped the 4 horsewomen name. With Bayley eventually turning babyface and will most likely go after for EO for the title, Bayley is going to need backup. Do you think somehow the 4 horsewomen reunite since Becky and Charlotte had hashed things up and Sasha Banks re-signs with WWE? Let me know what you think. This is a great topic. That's something that, and I say it's great because I didn't think of it at all. I was thinking that, there was really no reason behind Becky and Charlotte suddenly being okay with one another. But you know what? That may be the reason. It may be WWE kind of starting to bring all 4 women together. Now, of course, you have, as it currently stands, only 2 of the 4 that are baby faces. With Bayley turning face probably in the near future, you got 3. But of course, right, Sasha is the wild card. She is the one that is, I think did she re-sign with New Japan? I think she might be under contract with New Japan. I'll have to check. But say they bring in Sasha Banks. Okay, say this happens, which would be a cool moment. Who do they face? Damage Control, I would imagine. There's nobody else really that's a female heel faction. So perhaps that's what they do. But you're also tying up 4 main event women in one single match. I mean, that's not the worst thing to have happen, but you're also maybe not maximizing your talent there, especially at a big event like WrestleMania, which I'm imagining is what you're targeting here. I mean, because then you're tying up Bayley, Becky, and Charlotte, and returning Sasha Banks all in one match to fight off Damage Control instead of having them have their own matches. Like, I mean, in other words, Rhea Ripley and Becky Lynch, though, you'd think that has to happen at WrestleMania. If not, maybe at the Rumble, but it's not the worst idea. In fact, I really like this. I really like it. It just has to be worth it. And you have to bring in Sasha somehow. So, thanks, Efren. Hope you and Noah and Marshall are doing well. All right. Chandler, I know you sent this last week, but it was after I already recorded, but I'll get to it now. We have a few more, by the way, a few more patron emails, and then we'll get to the rest of the mailbag here. So this is Chandler, and he says, could not be more happy that Randy is coming back. And again, guys, this is prior to the pay-per-view. I just hope the Chicago fans don't hijack the show. I get it, and I'd like to see CM Punk too, but do you really think that we'll see a CM Punk in WWE again? I don't think Triple H being in charge will change anything with Punk. If I remember correctly, Punk has had a big problem with Triple H as he did with Vince. I mean, I don't even know how to respond to this because it's not fair. I have the benefit of hindsight after this has already been done. So it's just, Chandler, I'm reading this because it's fun to hear what people had to say prior to the event. All right. I can't get them over calling it Team Cody. It's so disrespectful to Seth considering he's the champion. I'm not being biased because I like Cody, but Seth deserves better. He carried WWE for years, and Cody came in after being gone for almost 10 and gets to be the main guy here after a little over a year. Yeah, I mean, don't even get me started, Chandler. Don't even get me started, please. It's all because Cody's daddy invented the match, so we're all supposed to just look at that as superseding everything. It's ridiculous. Okay, I had no problem with Logan Paul winning the U.S. title if he showed up every week, but clearly that's not happening. I know what you're going to say. He has a busy schedule. But if he has a busy schedule, don't give him the title. And by the way, didn't this guy lose all his matches before a U.S. title match? No, I don't think he did. I mean, he beat Ricochet, didn't he? A couple times. So I think no, but I would agree that we don't need another absentee champion. We've already filled that slot pretty well with Roman Reigns over the last year and a half. So we don't need another one. But I also at the same time don't need somebody showing up every week. and doing what Seth's doing is defending the title every 5 minutes. So I don't want that in either. So I need a happy medium. Even like every other show is cool with me. Okay, and your final point. While we're on the subject of Logan Paul, I just want to say I can't like him. I'm not trying to get an argument started, but I've seen multiple videos of him bashing Christians. I myself am a Christian, and I just can't see myself bashing other religions just because I don't agree with them. Well, Chandler, unfortunately, welcome to the world. The world of social media, the world of disagreements. Now, here's the thing. There's a lot of things that a lot of wrestlers say and do off of the microphone and live TV that I don't agree with and I don't like, and I really strongly disagree with. I won't get into obviously what that is. And I hate when any kind of politics or religion or anything, whether you agree with it or don't, it should never be brought into wrestling. The only time religion even touched wrestling was really when Shawn Michaels was brought back in 2002. And there was some religious tones there, which, it just, even if you agree with it, it's uncomfortable to watch. But yeah, I mean, if you don't like Logan Paul, well, you're not supposed to. He's a heel. So there you go. I mean, you can have real reasons why you dislike him outside of the fact that he's just a quote unquote TV wrestling heel. So there you go. I mean, you'll never like him then. And I understand. When you hear somebody say controversial things outside of wrestling, that's them speaking as a person. So that even makes you feel stronger about the person when you see them on TV that you'll never like them. So I get it. All right, let's keep on moving on. All right, we've got a couple more patrons. Zach, let's get to you. Zach Crystal, he says, "Hey, Matt, I just subscribed to Patreon." Well, thank you. "And I must say the perks you get are incredible, especially as the higher tier you go. Quick plug for you." Well, thank you. Yeah. Guys, go Patreon. You want your ad-free? It's a place to do it. "I'm excited to explore and chat in the Discord with fellow listeners. With that being said, I don't have anything to say about this week and what's going on in the WWE besides the fact that it's buzzing right now, and I hope it stays that way. But I want to have a quick shout out to the WWE crew who isn't on the camera. I've always been interested in how they put the show on the multiple times a week and how they get the arenas and set up so quickly. I wish I could sit down and watch them build the set one day. The crew are really the ones that make the show go on. With that all said, I hope all's well and happy pre-Mania season." Well, happy pre-Mania season to you as well. That's a heck of an idea, Zach, and one that I would actually pose to WWE is doing a special on the behind the scenes. We don't need to see, the production meetings. They'll never show us that. But what goes into building the ring? What goes into building the stage, setting up for an event, setting up for a PLE, setting up for Mania? I mean, in depth, not just kind of quick, "Oh my God, look at the set. It's so wonderful." No. Like, I'm talking about the crew members. You're right. That would be so much fun to watch. Have them in a ride along in one of the production trucks and with one of the drivers on how they coordinate all of the movement of all the parts and the stage and breaking down after the events. And that would be really interesting. Something that is so overlooked and taken for granted by fans, including myself. It's one of those invisible things that it just happens, right? Like, we don't even think about it. It's just there. And we don't appreciate all the work that goes into, again, even the TV production truck. You could do a whole thing on that of, what do they do? And if someone cusses, there's a button we push, and I know they don't want to give away too many trade secrets and there might be reasons why they wouldn't want to, but fans would love to see that. How does, give us the full production of the show. That'd be a lot of fun. Thanks, Zach. Okay, let's get to DJ. And DJ says, "Hello, AEW and WWE podcast world. It's DJ Kuzmo back at it again. Survivor Series has come and gone, but after seeing these two massive returns of Orton and Punk on Saturday, and then they appear on Monday night, my only concern is about SmackDown. Because to me, their roster, in contrast to Raw's roster, seems very imbalanced, since obviously Roman not being there and there not being a lot of baby faces on SmackDown. Santos' heel turn and the new Damage Control are the top things that are happening on SmackDown. But what about LA Knight? Where's AJ Styles and Sheamus? Whatever happened to Isla Dawn and Alba Fire? I just hope during the next 8 weeks before the Rumble that SmackDown improves for the better. It makes me wonder, if there was not a brand split, then both shows would have a full roster of talent. Not to go on another rant about the brand split, but why was Cody on SmackDown and why was Becky a part of the SmackDown War Games? It blows my mind about these appearances on opposite shows. Anyway, enough said on that. DJ Cosmo signing off. Okay. I don't need to get into the whole brand split thing. They want it when they want it, and they don't when they don't, and they do it out of convenience. There's no respect for the rules that they have put into place. But as far as the star power goes, that is a problem for SmackDown right now. Now, Raw has another additional hour to fill. That's a 33% increase from SmackDown, doing the simple math. So they have a lot more time to fill, so I understand that. But also, Raw is still a better show right now. It seems like a more important show than SmackDown. The tides have turned, where SmackDown forever was the more fun show with the Bloodline story. And with Roman not there, it is a bit crazy, right now. It is a bit of an imbalance. But here's the thing. Like I've said, I believe Orton and Punk are free agents, so they can float. Maybe they're there on SmackDown. We don't know. I would imagine one of them is going to be there on Friday. But, all right. Let's see who do we want to talk to next. Let's talk to Jordan from Nova Scotia. And Jordan says, good morning, Matt. Long-time listener, first-time mailbag. I'll keep it short and sweet. Thoughts on CM Punk being the one to answer Shinsuke Nakamura's open challenge? With Randy being spoiled, sort of makes sense with Survivor Series being in Chicago. Also, shout out to Badfish for being a fellow Nova Scotian. Thanks again, Matt. Jordan. Okay, well, thanks, Jordan. And so what are my thoughts on Punk, on CM Punk being the one to answer Shinsuke Nakamura's open challenge? Well, Shinsuke Nakamura has targeted Cody Rhodes, but Shinsuke Nakamura and CM Punk, do I think that's ever going to happen? Depends how long CM Punk's here. If CM Punk is assigned to a 2 to 3 year deal, then sure. But if CM Punk's on a 1 year deal and he's limited up matches on the card on his contract, then you're probably looking at no. You're probably looking at just CM Punk working with top guys maybe 4 times, 5 times a year. But yeah. So thanks so much. And let's get to Jacob. This one was from Instagram. And Jacob says, love your show. Yesterday you talked about a team not really having an advantage in War Games. You said it was made up. Hear me out. Priest comes in second, cashes in Money in the Bank for a 2-on-1 beatdown and a title change before War Games match officially starts. It would be great TV. You should mention that on your show and get people's thoughts. Well, I just did. And, I mean, again, there's really, what's the advantage? The two quote-unquote advantaged teams lost at Survivor Series. They lost because the idea with this advantage is to have something for the baby faces to overcome. It's a advantage for the heels. Like, it really creates a better story if the heels have the quote-unquote advantage, even though if the match doesn't start until everyone's in the ring, which is still ridiculous to me. That would be a true advantage if you can actually eliminate people, as they come in, but you can't. Got to wait for everybody to be in. So, if Priest comes in, cashes in Money in the Bank for a 2-on-1 beatdown, but then what? Okay, Priest comes in, he comes in second, and then he wins the world title, but then how does the match continue? He's champion, but the War Games match still goes on and everyone's okay? Like it's just kind of weird. The cash-in has to happen towards the end of a match or after a match is over. Otherwise, it gets really wonky, especially if Priest is in the match itself. So he's kind of like in a match within a match. Like he's in the War Games match, but also he just cashed in. So for him, it's just a world title match. Yet everyone in the ring doesn't get an opportunity to have an opportunity at the world title. That's the thing you have to worry about. Like when Seth cashed in at the infamous heist of the century at WrestleMania 31, he essentially turned that into a triple threat because he added himself to the match. Then it was a triple threat for the Universal title at the time. So it gets wonky if you did it that way. But thanks, Jacob. All right. Let's see. I don't know how many more emails we have, but let's keep it going. Noah says, I really love Survivor Series, but I just wanted to quickly dive into a few things. First, Carlito. They seem to write him out of his match with Santos at the last minute. I haven't heard anything from major journalists about this. Maybe they didn't see him as, quote, ring ready for a PLE match after his matches on SmackDown. Seems strange, and haven't heard too many people question it thus far. Santos beating Carlito would have been a much stronger and interesting start to his heel run, so I find it strange they switched. Also, wanted to talk about... Okay, well, before we get that, maybe they're saving it. Carlito's a big name, and I think Carlito and Santos, maybe they move to a different time to try to make it in a place, maybe it's at the Rumble, where they could make it even more of a beatdown on Carlito and more of a moment when it's on an even bigger stage like the Rumble. But I haven't heard anything either. I really haven't heard if Carlito was injured or they just felt he had bad in-ring work. I haven't heard anything like that, so I would agree. It is weird. But also wanted to talk about the Punk return quickly. I'm ecstatic. He's back and seems in good form. His promo on Raw didn't fill me with hope, however. It seemed very sanitized, a little Cody-like at times, like the phrases, I love you and I'm here for you guys, and quote, I'm home. Was expecting more of an anti-hero type Punk, even hints at a heel Punk. And alongside that, a hint or even a start of a program, but we got very little. Would like to know your thoughts. Well, I mean, I've already covered this a lot, and I've had a lot of people bark back at me that, there wasn't enough time, and what'd you expect? And it's like, well, I expected more than what we got, which was a whole bunch of like I'm home stuff. And again, I didn't hate the promo. And maybe my expectations are unrealistically high, but when you promote something for 3 hours and then you deliver 5 minutes, it's not great. It's not great. I would have liked 10, 12 minutes and then have a useless heel come out and run their mouth and get a GTS. Not somebody he'd go into a program with, but somebody like a Grayson Waller. I know he's on SmackDown, but you know what I mean. Just come out and just hit a GTS and Punk says he's back. But the larger issue beyond the length of the promo and all that, because he'll have more time to talk, is the fact that we got a softer Punk. You're right. We didn't get the anti-hero, but maybe that's not what we need. I mean, maybe that's not, while the fans think they want that, maybe this evolved version of Punk is a better one. Time will tell. All right, let's keep it going. We're almost done with the emails. Okay, let's go to David. David says, first of all, I'd like to touch base on who is Jelly Roll. He's a platinum recording artist and country rapper from Nashville, as well as several rewards for his work. Look him up when you have the chance. Okay, well, yeah. Here's a clue into my current music knowledge. I didn't know who the hell Bad Bunny was until he showed up in WWE. I never heard the name Bad Bunny until he showed up in WWE. So same thing for Jelly Roll. To me, a Jelly Roll is I'm thinking of a jelly donut. Okay, and now I'm hungry. But that is the first time I've ever heard the name Jelly Roll. The first time I ever heard the name Bad Bunny is when I saw them in WWE. I'm like, who are these guys? Why are we supposed to be excited to see them? They're who? Right? So that kind of tells you where I'm at with the current music scene. But with that being said, I'm ecstatic to see CM Punk back in a WWE ring. I can still see that infamous pipe bomb heard all around the world as Punk sat cross-legged on the entrance of the stage and said some controversial things about the WWE. His mic was even turned off, and he just kept on talking, and he stopped only after he said what he had to say, then walked out with the championship belt once he was done. Last Monday was no exception. Saying that he was there to make money, not friends, was a nice touch. If you work for the WWE as a WWE star, it's your occupation. So as much as the boys in the back hate to admit it, he was right. I'm really enjoying the WWE right now, especially Raw. It reminds me of the WWE of old, where you didn't know what storyline and what's true. and they are pretty good at intertwining both dynamics and incorporating them into the shows. Adding real life beef is a good touch in my opinion because it gives a bit more of a realistic feel. Like Edge and Matt Hardy and the Lita angle is good, a good example. That's all for now. Cody's father was a famous wrestler, by the way. I looked it up. Wait, no. I'll have to Google that. I don't believe you about Cody's dad. There's no way. Somebody can fact check me on that, but I really think you're lying to me, David. There's no way Cody's dad was a wrestler. Bunch of horse manure. So now, okay. This feeling, I hope it doesn't leave us too quickly. Now, the big return feeling doesn't last long because as human beings, we get used to seeing people and then it's not so special to see them anymore. That's just human nature. The pops won't be as big. It's just normal. But the overall feeling of what's reality and what's not, it can't be in every story. But when it does pop up, it adds that extra, wow, what's going to happen? Like Becky and Charlotte that had the public beef going on with one another a couple of years ago. That translated into an interesting match they had at the time. But you always wonder, is the quote-unquote real beef part of the story? See, it's kind of like a mind F, if you know what I mean. It's like, is it not supposed to be part of the story so fans don't think it is, but it really is, and it's not, but they think it is? You see what I mean? Like, I don't know. But I agree. When you have those types of stories that there's a side story that we all believe is real, it does add an extra layer of spice to the program. And I love it. But, okay, 2 more. This is John. John says, I love so much what they're doing with Drew. I think the plan is to continue not only to turn him dark, but go all out crazy after everyone in revenge. He plays the part to perfection. I love Savage Drew. It reminds me of William Wallace and Braveheart. Maybe that's their plan. That's a good analogy. I think that this slow descent into darkness has been done very well. And he's trying to make the fans out to be the problem while he says he hasn't changed. And eventually, he's going to snap and go full heel. I would agree. And I'm waiting for that Drew McIntyre snap. All right. I think after Seth beats Jay, Drew will get his rematch with Seth and beat him to the point where he's about to pin him. But in continuing the narrative about Drew getting screwed, Damian comes out with the briefcase and prevents Drew from winning. Not sure if Priest actually cashes in or it's a distraction like the 50 other near cash-ins. But it will set up a huge Drew-Damian feud, which they're teasing. But then who would be the babyface in that? Now, that's my question. Priest is on a nice heel run. Drew's just getting his feet wet back into the heel pool. You can't. I honestly don't know if I'd do that yet. Unless we have Damian turn babyface and be ousted from the group and join Drew to try to take down that group. Okay, final point. I think Randy will be on SmackDown a lot moving forward, clashing with the Bloodline. Yeah, I would agree with that. Eventually, it sets up Orton versus Reigns at the Rumble, maybe WrestleMania. I really hope they consider Orton as the guy to take down Reigns, not Cody. It would be a great opportunity for Cody to then go heel and get angry at Randy for stealing his moment. I know it probably won't happen, but potential is there. Want your thoughts, John? Thank you, John. Yeah, they're just Cody obsessed right now and making him this squeaky, clean, just, bright white smile babyface that is here to please us all and make us happy. Cody even said so. Sickeningly on Raw. So, unlikely, yes, very unlikely, but Orton facing Reigns for the championship at the Rumble is likely. I would agree with that, but I don't think Orton is the right guy to beat Roman. However, I don't care who beats Roman at this point, as long as whoever beats him is here, and we stop getting a insanely absentee champion. Okay, that's I really don't care who wins at this point. Just take the belt off of Roman so we can get back to normal scheduling, right? Like, Roman wants to be on this schedule. God bless him. I don't care, but just don't take the championship hostage with you. That's been the whole problem. So, Orton winning the belt, though, if I had to choose, I would begrudgingly choose Cody. Even though I like Orton more as a character, from a business perspective, Cody winning is a better choice because Cody's younger. you could build around him a little bit more than Randy Orton, who is, he's had a 20-plus year career at this point, a lot of mileage on his body, a lot of injuries, and you can't really build the future with Orton. So, short term, sure, but Randy Orton eventually will succumb to Father Time too. Thanks, John. All right, let's get to James. Very quickly, James says, now that Orton has returned, do you think we could see the return of Legacy with Orton, Cody, and Jay? Maybe for like a one-night only situation. I don't think it'd be anything long-term because these three men don't need to be in a group. See, groups are usually made for the purpose of helping. It's for the need to create new stars. You see a lot of new faces or younger talent in these groups. Look at even the women, right? For these three men, they already have forged their legacy, pun intended, I guess. Cody doesn't need to be long-term with Randy, even though I understand that it'd be fun for a night or two or short-term to have them reunite. And yeah, I get that, and I understand the nostalgia for that. But it's all about, is there a need for it? You're also tying up all three men in a program with who, instead of having individual programs. So you gotta take that all into account. It'd be cool for a short term, like a few weeks, but that wouldn't go beyond like a PLE or two. Thanks, James. Okay, let me check. Let's see if I've got. I don't think I have. Do I have any more emails? I don't, but god dang, I always say that every week, and then somebody pops up, and I feel bad. So. All right, let's get to those beloved voicemails, and I think you guys are going to recognize this voice. Let's get to Sharon from Israel. Let's see what he's got to say.
Hello, WWE podcast. This is Sharon from Israel. I'm sorry for this thing, but oh my God, I can't believe to what I saw. Mada CM Punk came back to WWE. What the F? I can't believe this. And now, from this moment, it's not the PG era, the new era, the Triple H era. I'm sorry, but this is freaking CM Punk era. Those 3 seconds in the end of Survivor Series, they are the most important 3 seconds in the last 20-ish years in WWE, maybe in the whole wrestling industry. I don't care anymore about Cody. I sure don't care about this stupid reign of Roman Reigns. I don't care about so many stories in WWE anymore, for real. Sami Zayn, Kevin Owens, AJ Styles, Bobby Lashley, they can go like whenever they want. Seriously, CM Punk is the top story in WWE now. So much top. With saying all that, I saw Raw, I saw what he said, and I'm disappointed. And maybe the CM Punk we are getting this year, this time, it's the most different CM Punk that we had ever. Is not that fresh wrestler. He cannot talk so much dirt because there is Triple H and TKO and all kinds of things. He cannot do so many troubles because what he did in AEW. He just can bring fans, he just can bring hype. I don't know what he can bring so much, and it will be interesting. Yeah. By the way, maybe it will be interesting that people will tell where they have been when they saw the return of CM Punk. So I saw it in the morning of Sunday, and I saw it while I was in work, while I was teaching students in school, and I saw it in my phone, and then like, okay, I won't do anything, and then in the break, I went to the bathroom, and in the bathroom, I put it again, and then I just like, I can't believe what I saw. They actually did it. Crazy, crazy, crazy. So, thank you very much. WWE Podcast is the best podcast in the world. And have a good night. Bye.
Sharon, hope you're doing well, my friend. And sounds like you are excited about CM Punk's return. I could be just stretching the truth a bit and taking a shot in the dark, but it sounds like you're a bit excited about it and don't care about anything else going on in WWE. And I understand the excitement. It does blind you from anything else going on because it makes you feel something. And when you have these moments, these are the moments that continue to bring you back as a fan, even when sometimes you slip away from the product. These are the moments that, like, yeah, you're going to remember where you were, when moments like these happen and moments that you never expect to happen that do. And I get it. I totally understand it. But I will say that I think that eventually will wear off. Everybody gets, when they see something more and more, it becomes less and less valuable and react to it less and less. So, I would say that don't ignore everything. All right. Like there are some good things going on. Shinsuke and Cody, I know neither of us like Cody, but the matchup should be a lot of fun. You can start to speculate about the Rumble. Who wins the Rumble? Does LA Knight? Does Cody? Does a surprise entrant? Does The Rock come back? Like that kind of stuff is a lot of fun. The Rumble will in short order in the next few weeks. We'll really start to hone in on the Rumble as we get used to Punk being back, and we'll see who his opponent is, and we can speculate about who's going to win that match at, again, presumably at Rumble. Yeah, we can start to dive into the Rumble a bit more and think about, okay, what are the scenarios here? And I think after a few weeks of the shiny new toy of Punk being back wears off, I think that we will start to dive back into, everything else going on the show, including Randy Orton, who is got a lot of receipts, he says, for the Bloodline. So I would expect Randy Orton, maybe at the end of SmackDown, I'd expect Randy Orton to strike and hit maybe Jimmy with a RKO. That's my guess. I'm just throwing that out there. But Sharon, good to hear you, my friend. Hope you're doing well.
Podcast world. This is DJ Kuzmo back at it again on your Mailbag show. Records you live on a Wednesday morning, on another cold, very cold Wednesday morning. I hope you enjoyed the Survivor Series War Games. Hope everybody had an awesome Thanksgiving. And of course, we had all of those big popular returns of CM Punk and Randy Orton. But I just want to briefly talk about one of the biggest returns that has happened to WWE in the year of 2023, and I'm talking about none other than a man weighing at 220 pounds, coming from Charlotte, North Carolina. I'm talking about the one, the only Ron Killings, aka R-Truth. That's right, R-Truth is back. R-Truth is back, and man, it was so great to see my little backstage segment with the ruffled chips on Survivor Series War Games. So great to see him. One of the best, the all-time best when it comes to comedy and professional wrestling, because, I love a little bit of comedy in my professional wrestling because professional wrestling doesn't have to be so serious. So I enjoy his comedy. Of course, one of the memorable moments that I remember of R-Truth was at the 2016 Royal Rumble, where R-Truth was thinking about, wait a minute, is this some sort of Money in the Bank match? He pulls out the ladder and says, he climbs to the ladder and looks up at the ceiling and where's the briefcase? And all of a sudden, Kane just chokeslams him outside the ring. It was hilarious. If you haven't seen that spot, please YouTube that 2016 Royal Rumble R-Truth. But anyway, let's get to your favorite show to come on every single week on the Mailbag. And I'm talking about the Veer Mahan Report. Now, the Veer Mahan Report took place this past Monday night on Monday Night Raw, live from Nashville, Tennessee. And yes, we did get an appearance of the Indus in the Tag Team Turmoil match. Now, it went something like this. DIY was the first to be in the match against none other than Alpha Academy. They eliminated the Alpha Academy, and here come my guys, the Indus of Veer Mahan and Saga, as they came in. I guess a quick running start. This was this one really quick, very quick for my guys, the Indus. As we all, I thought that these guys, especially my guy Veer Mahan, would have gotten a little bit of offense, but all of a sudden, he was rolled over. He was pinned by none other than Johnny Gargano with the most devastating finish of all time, the roll-up. And 1, 2, 3, the Indus were eliminated in the Tag Team Turmoil match. I wasn't expecting them to win it, but this was all about the Creed brothers. But other than that, hopefully, we get to see more of the Indus maybe feuding against DIY. But with that being said, this is your guy, DJ Kuzmo. Have a blessed week. Be kind to one another. See you soon, my friends, and peace.
Yeah, look, they didn't make a very long appearance. I was hoping, like you, that they would make a larger impact and stay longer, maybe get an elimination themselves. And they didn't. They I hate to say it, but for most fans, it was a forgettable match for them in terms of the Indus. But here's the positive. They showed up on the main roster. They got minutes, however few they were. They got minutes on the show. That's encouraging from where they were just last week. I mean, hell, right? They would disappear for like a month or two at a time. Then they show up in like a random backstage segment that's never on the Hulu cut, talking with somebody backstage. And it's just a massive step in the right direction if you're looking for the Indus to become massive, big players in the tag team scene. Even though they didn't have a great showing and they weren't on long, the key is they got the jersey. They're there. So that's to me what I'm looking at and hanging my hat on. And I really hope that the Indus does more. And not just because it'd make DJ happy, but really I think there's a lot there. I do, especially with Jinder Mahal at the forefront as the spokesperson. So, and the devastating finish of the roll-up. Not to be confused with the jelly roll-up, right? All right. Thanks, DJ.
Hey, it's Kyle from Baltimore. So I wanted to talk about Survivor Series last night and overall with the show. I thought it was really good. It kind of, my favorite matches were the War Games matches. Those were the matches I was looking forward to the most all throughout last night anyway. So, and those two matches delivered. I thought, and I thought overall it was some great matches and great moments, in both matches. I thought, just, with having, Becky did a late job on the table, Sky with the trash can lit, the trash can over her body and jumping off the cage. I thought that was really cool. And all of that stuff. And Becky pick up the win again, just like she did last year. So I think that was great. And also was having, Cody Rhodes took the pinfall even though Ray hit the RKO. He should have pinned, Priest or whatever. I think what shocked me though the most is that the two babyface teams went over. I wasn't expecting that. But I was pleasantly surprised though about that because I was expecting Damage Control to win and they didn't, which I was, I guess, pleasantly surprised that, Becky's team won. And so we'll see what happens moving forward from this and where they're going to go from here with Bayley and, Becky's technically a Raw star, how she's going to factor into she's kind of face to face with Rhea. I think, Rhea definitely needs some help in terms of credible challengers. Like I've said that 1,000 times. I thought her match with Zoe was fine, but people just didn't care about Zoe. They were all behind Rhea, which Rhea still is like one of the biggest stars in that women's division next to Becky. So, in general, overall, I thought just in general, it was about the two War Games matches for me. I thought they were both great, and I'm looking forward to seeing what happens on Raw tomorrow and see how the fallout is, especially now that CM Punk is back too and all that's a whole other conversation. But in general, I just thought it was a really two great matches and looking forward to the fallout on Raw tomorrow and see what happens with Becky and Randy and all that stuff. So that's just it. They shall call. Bye.
Yeah, Kyle. Look, I mean, we all seem to be very positive about the product right now, and it has something to do with the returns. I mean, let's be honest. The returns of Orton and Punk certainly help, and it gives that spark and that conversation and the internet exploding and everyone gets attention. Eventually that fades, and those that are truly interested in the product will stay. And those that are just like, oh, what happened over there in WWE? I don't care. They leave, right? Just like WrestleMania season, those same kind of people pop in for WrestleMania and leave. They only become involved when there's massive news. They don't really care about the day-to-day or watching stars grow. They just want to know about the biggest stars. And wait, Punk's back? Orton's back? Where's Stone Cold? Is The Rock having a match? You know, we all know those kinds of people that really would never sit and watch Raw till it's for a full program on any random night, that they just want to watch the WrestleMania main events and talk about the golden years of wrestling, right? But my point is, though, that you seem very positive about the product. I'm very positive about the product right now. Albeit I do have a Achilles heel of complaining too much about little things that annoy me. It's kind of my personality. I don't know what to say. My wife loves it. But really, I mean, I'm glad you like the War Games match. I don't think we really have talked too much about the women's War Games match, Kyle. And I'm glad you brought it up. The Io Sky trash can moment, good moment. The crowd chanted holy yes for that. I think what helped them too is the fact that they were at the beginning of the show, which the crowd's obviously the freshest at that time. They're ready to go, so they react louder than they otherwise would if they were in the middle of the show. So this was really good. Yeah, I mean, the women, and I said this at the time too for my review, the women killed themselves out there. They busted their ass. But I think it was clunky at times. And yeah, the babyface teams went over, but they kind of had to, because the idea is you're trying to oust Bayley from Damage Control, which if she takes the pinfall, there's good reason to continue to move forward with that story of Bayley being removed from office, as I've said. And then having Randy return, you can't have Randy on a losing team. On his 18-month return, you can't do that. This kind of lent itself to babyfaces winning on both teams. So, but thanks, Kyle. Let's keep on rolling.
Hey, this is the Waz. Hey, I watched the press conference after the pay-per-view Survivor Series, which is what I wish they would just call it, drop the War Games. They could use the whole cage thing. I don't care. Just change it up a little bit. Do the elimination thing where, you slowly get eliminated. I want that old school Survivor Series thing. But anyways, back to the press conference. When Charlotte and Becky came out and they teamed best of friends, there's something I noticed. Charlotte was really warm, really welcoming, very happy-go-lucky. Like, I'm confused because they're trying to push her as this baby face, yet she doesn't come across warm and kind and likable as a baby face on screen. But in this press conference, I'm like, where's this version of Charlotte in the ring? That version of Charlotte could be a great baby face. I suggest watching the press conference, that part of it, and just seeing what you think. But I just really was blown away by that. And it legitimately sounds like whatever beef they may have had that was legit in the past has been dealt with. And it looks as though Charlotte and Becky are going to be moving forward as being friendly to each other and all that kind of stuff. So that's interesting. Otherwise, totally psyched about Randy. I'm honestly more psyched about Randy returning than I am CM Punk. Not that I'm not psyched about CM Punk, but I'm just more psyched about Randy. Randy's always been one of my favorites. And he looks huge. He's massive compared to any time he's been in the past. There's actually times when he was wrestling that I'm like, I got this feeling of Batista from him, just from the massive size that he is now. So, with that said, I'll let you guys go. Have a good one.
Well, here's a blast from the past. How you doing, Waz? So, as far as Randy's size goes, I mean, yeah, he looks like a monster. He looks like Brock Lesnar in a way. He's got that kind of body right now. It's crazy. He must, like I said, he must be just absolutely living in the gym. He must have his like a bed in the gym and just wake up and train and eat and then go back to bed. Like, it's insane. Good for him. But the one thing I do worry about, and look, I'm not pretending to be a physical therapist. I'm not pretending to be some kind of personal trainer. But I will say that as you age, having more muscle means you have more strain on your joints, and that means, well, because of the extra weight of the muscle, it puts you at a higher risk for injury. I'm not saying Randy is going to get injured, but as you get older, usually you lessen the weights, up in the flexibility and the cardio, while you maintain your muscle mass. So look, I'm not a body expert, but I've heard from several people that I trust that are into this field, and they have said that, yeah, I mean, like, usually as you get older, it's a better idea, although not something that's going to prevent you completely from getting injured, but you put yourself in additional risk as you age to put on more muscle because your joints and ligaments are older. So that's the only downside to it, is he could be at risk for a higher risk than normal for injury, but let's hope not. And as far as Charlotte feeling happy-go-lucky, that, it is difficult. I saw some of it, but not all of it, what you're referring to in the press conference with Charlotte. If they truly did, first of all, if Charlotte and Becky truly had a amends in the ring, and it's really not to bring back the 4 horsewomen, then that's cool. It's a cool moment. Fine. Great. They squash whatever beef they have. No problem with that. But I do think that it's also a chance that they manufactured this moment to try to eventually get the 4 horsewomen together, including Sasha somehow. That's, the previous emailer brought that up, as you heard. I didn't come up with that idea. But it could be either. I'm not sure which. Time will tell. But I would agree, though, that Charlotte's personality doesn't always come through on camera, and she still comes off like an ice queen, pun intended. And even when she's a babyface, it's sometimes hard to think of her as a warm, cuddly figure, because she's an alpha female and usually dominates in matches and is very tall, muscular. She's very difficult to relate to for a lot of people. So she doesn't have that kind of every woman feel to her. Like, an equivalent for the men would be Daniel Bryan, right? But she's difficult. She doesn't translate that personality very well onto camera, but it would benefit her as a babyface character to do so. But thanks, Waz. Good to hear from you.
Hey, Matt, Brad in Florida. So I just finished watching Raw, and here's what I got to say, man. When I heard Punk include that word of wise man over and over, twice to be specific, but I'm pretty sure that the Seth thing is a little bit of a decoy. I think we're going to get Punk versus Roman Reigns at the Rumble. And I really, really do. And I think you might see a conflicted Paul Heyman or a somewhat conflicted Paul Heyman. And I think that that's a very interesting route to go, because then you have Cody a little pissed. He needs to, win the Rumble to finish the story, or whatever, win the Elimination Chamber to finish the story, whatever he needs to do. But Punk has now thrown a monkey wrench in those plans. I think that is an incredibly interesting angle to go. Roman being a little bit jealous about the wise man's potential loyalty, kind of like the Brock Lesnar, Paul Heyman, Roman Reigns thing. I think it's an incredible route to go down. I think you could save the Seth thing for later. I think there is a lot of heat there, obviously, but that would be the route that I would go. And I do also think AJ Lee's coming back based on what CM Punk said in his promo, but we'll see about that. I think she's coming back at the Rumble, maybe even just for one appearance or something like that. But regardless, man, I just think that the Roman Punk route is what's going to happen. I think you're going to see a very jealous and insecure Roman Reigns, and I'm very interested to hear and see it. So, even Punk versus Gunther would be great. Could you imagine Gunther saying, I'm the greatest Intercontinental Champion? Punk saying, yeah, well, I'm the best in the world. It would be phenomenal. But there's a lot of interesting ways they can go with this, man. And I'm really excited to see what it is. And always love your show, man. And thanks for taking the call. And I'm curious to hear what your response to what I'm saying is. Bye.
Thanks for the kind words, Brad, and hope you're doing well. That's the great part about what's going on right now is there are so many scenarios. We truly have no clue. There's so many new matchups that we haven't seen yet or haven't seen in a long time. And one of them includes, of course, Punk and Roman, which has to happen. Now, as you said, does it happen at Rumble? Does that happen at Mania? You could argue it happens at Mania. Punk Roman? Why not? You know? But the Wise Man connection, I'm glad you brought that up. I haven't really dove into that a whole lot. But you're right. He's referring obviously to Paul Heyman. No one else in the WWE is referred to as the Wise Man. It is Paul Heyman. It could be a decoy. The Seth thing, I still believe I'm with you. The Seth thing, I don't think they're going to jump to right away. It could be a Mania moment for Punk and Rollins. It could be. Maybe they do go there. That's fine with me. I think they could work very well together and bring up a lot of quote-unquote real-life stuff. Whether or not that's real, we don't know. But it still creates an interesting and fun program that we're all looking forward to. So they're going to, and that's why WWE didn't bring up the Seth Rollins actions that were captured on camera on Survivor Series, because they can tuck that away for another future video package. But here's the thing. Randy Orton and Roman makes a little more sense for this reason. Roman called out the Bloodline by name. And what's Randy going to do the next few weeks from now to Rumble? He already stated who he's targeting. And CM Punk did not. He left it open. So I think Randy is more focused right now on the Bloodline and targeting them, and Randy Roman makes more sense. Now, the other thing is Roman needs to show up. You know, like Roman actually needs to be there. So we need to get Roman back pronto. So there's that too. But thanks, Brad. So many possibilities. That's what makes this so much fun. Again, we don't know. And here's the other last thing I'll say. There's no really bad combination. I can't think of a bad combination right now where I'm like, oh, just don't go there. I hope we don't see this. There's none of those. That's a pretty rare thing to have happen in wrestling. So we're in a really fun time as fans. Really fun. Okay, final voicemail in 3, 2, 1.
As the French guy here, your current European champion. What a week to be a wrestling fan. This is completely incredible. Everything is possible in wrestling, just as in life. And in this vocal, I just wanted to point out why I love CM Punk ever since I think coming back to WWE was the right move for every party involved. And CM Punk, what can I say? Whenever I was watching wrestling I think it was 10 years ago or something along the lines, I was watching John Cena, all the PG era fans, all the PG era superstars, and I remember CM Punk being a real breath of fresh air in the wrestling industry in WWE. I mean, the guy, I think I know partially why I love CM Punk and maybe why people love CM Punk, and I think it has to do with the fact that the guy stands up for himself. He really does stand up for himself, and he doesn't compromise for people, for industries, for companies. And ever since he went to AEW, we saw this trait of personality that for real he is like that. That's, I think, the main points with people, and I might get cut on this audio, but that's okay. It's just a portrait, not a portrait, but a feel, why I love CM Punk, and the guy stands up for himself, and it's not a character. It's not a character. We can see it. We can feel it. The way he talks, the drama backstage, it does really show that CM Punk is the type of guy, Phil Brooks is the type of guy to stand up for himself, is the type of guy to say no, is the type of guy to say, all right, no, I'm not taking this, you know what I mean, from this company. I'm leaving. I'm not taking this, again, I'm not, you know, he's not taking like, he does what he wants. And that's really what is interesting in the character of CM Punk. And it's, I think really why I love him, and especially I think it's the drama in real life, you should take that and make it to a wrestling story. And that's why it's so interesting. And I think Triple H did think about that. And that's exactly what you want in a wrestling type story. Because of course you will have conflict. And maybe CM Punk will have real life conflict in WWE. But that's okay. Because the guy is like that. And that's why we love him. We don't like, I don't like.
All right, Alex. Yeah. It is a heck of a time to be a wrestling fan. It's bringing in people that I bet you haven't watched wrestling in a long time back to the product. Like, hey, what's going on over here? Punk's back. Wait, what? And it's just fun. And I understand why you are enjoying Punk and why, you enjoy his personality in that he just speaks his mind and it bucks the system and he, speaks against the man. But that right now, I mean, that was his previous character in WWE that got him the summer of Punk in 2011, 2012, if you remember. And it really brought him to fame. I mean, that whole summer of Punk, like that short window really made his entire career. I mean, that catapulted him into superstardom, and rightfully so, cut on promos, and that's what brought him to prominence too, was he was just real. He felt like he wasn't just cutting promos, a wrestling promo. He felt like he was speaking from the heart, and that's what makes Punk so appealing. He feels like he's being genuine. That's a tough thing to do in pro wrestling today. But here's what I will say. If he does actually have true beef with the company in WWE during this run, which he will, it's inevitable. I'm sure everybody has gripes about the quote unquote the office, right? You need to shut your mouth. Like, I mean, I understand what you're saying, that he speaks against the man. You can do that on TV and turn it into a story. Absolutely. But what you don't do is what he did with Tony Khan multiple times, speaking against the company and being very unprofessional. That's the difference. If they're doing it as part of a story, cool. If he's actually going rogue and into business for himself and speaking out suddenly in like 5-6 months, he doesn't like what happened at WrestleMania. He felt like he should have got more time. He felt like his opponent should have been different. All this and that. No, you shut up, you get paid, and you do your damn job. Like, I mean, I'm on WWE's side on this one. You don't want somebody who's a liability to the company, who is going to actually go out and take their wrestling character and make it into a real thing where he starts speaking out against the company. Like that's a bad idea. But to your point, for wrestling stories' sake, to make it feel real, but it's really not, absolutely, let's do it. That's the difference. So many good promos to come from Punk. I mean, let's be honest. There are so many good promos that we haven't seen yet. And one that I will keep harping on. What about when he comes face to face with John Cena? That I think is going to happen. We haven't even brought up John Cena. He'll be at WrestleMania. He certainly will be. What if it's against Punk? What about CM Punk versus John Cena at WrestleMania? I mean, I don't know how good the match would be. Wouldn't be a 5-star classic, but there's a lot of history there. Ooh, a lot of history. So, there's just so many combinations of guys he can work with. It's going to be so much fun. And if it is a multi-year deal, there's a lot of fun to be had that's coming. And eventually, a CM Punk heel turn, if the fans don't turn on him. And, before that. So, man, oh man. Guys, thank you so much for joining me here tonight. Thank you for all the emails, all the calls. You guys are the ones that make this show happen, and I appreciate it. And, there's a time to be a wrestling fan that's a little boring, and there's a time to be a wrestling fan that you're very proud of. This is a proud time. So, guys, if you want to go ad-free, patreon.com/WWE podcast is the way to go for $1 a month. That starts you getting in the door. There's other perks as you go up, including merch. You can even get merch as you go up in tier, and you can get on the show as you go up in tier as well. And you can also have a Discord server that allows you to chat with the other patrons. There's also a community chat that's available right now on the Patreon app that allows you to chat with anybody, including myself. So check that out, guys. Also, you can go to wwepodcast.com and go ad-free there. Or on Apple Podcasts, we have an ad-free button. So, all right, that'll do it for me this week in WWE. We've gone through the week in review, the mailbag, current state, and Raw. So we are now, for me anyway, I've concluded myself for the week, unless something massive happens, and then I'll break in, but I don't anticipate it. So I'll be back Sunday with the current state of WWE. We have a lot more coming this week, though, with SmackDown reviews. We have the AEW Dynamite review. We have After Dark for those of you on the SmackDown tier and NXT Plus and above. We have a new After Dark show with Anthony DeMarco coming for those patrons on those tiers. So thank you so much, everybody, though. I appreciate it. And as always, take care. I'll talk to you next time.
Thanks for listening to the WWE Podcast. Don't forget to subscribe on your favorite podcast app so you don't miss a show, or head to WWEpodcast.com. And for all of these shows ad-free, head over to patreon.com/WWE Podcast. Until then, we'll see you next time.